Welcome to this week's Open Tabs, guys. Cheers. This is Open Tabs, our weekly dive into internet and cultural news that we can't stop thinking about. It's taking up space in our internet tabs and brains. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about today. So I'm jumping into it. Obviously, this is being recorded on May 6th. We just had Met Gala Monday. I personally don't have a ton of thoughts on this year's Met Gala. I neither do any of my 20-something friends. We just scrolled through Instagram and we're like, they look good. This person, not so much. And that was the extent of my Met Gala coverage. But what about you guys?
I'm very into the Met Gala, so I like hardcore tune in. It comes on earlier over here, so it's still kind of like end of the
Mhm.
workday vibes. I feel like it might be different if I was in New York like you. Actually, if I was in New York like you, let's be real, I would be camping out somewhere to watch
I love
celebrities do
this
stuff. But
enthusiasm for the Met Gala.
yeah, so I was watching on YouTube the live stream and also TikTok the live stream on my phone and then scrolling through people's takes. And so I was very plugged into the Met Gala this year. You can read about it on Cool Shiny Culture.
Awesome.
Wait, what? I don't think I've ever actually watched the Met Gala. Like, I mean, I've seen the red carpet, obviously,
Mhm.
but like, what I know it, and it's in honor of like the Costume Institute. But like,
Mhm.
what is the content of the?
It's basically just the live stream of the red carpet.
That's
So this
that's
used
the
yeah.
yeah.
And they didn't always used to cover it. It basically began to get covered in the internet age because when it was happening, we were doing basically what Emma described on Twitter, where people were like,
Mhm.
love this, not so much, making memes. And then it became kind of like an internet holiday where people would tune in specifically to watch the Met Gala and kind of see what was happening. And then they started live streaming it. And I've been a big proponent behind the scenes of like legitimizing the live stream and making it more of a moment on YouTube and just in general. So they did a really good job, I thought, this year with the live stream on YouTube.
I love that. So brought up the Met Gala, mostly to segue
Wait,
into.
I
Oh,
just
yeah.
have like three takes on the Met Gala. I will say, like, I didn't watch it, but I think it's like honestly best consumed on the internet. I kudos to you,
Mhm.
Megan, for your guidance there. Like, I just think that's why I was like asking, like, what is the content of the Met Gala? Like, just is there anything beyond the red carpet? That's more of what I was like alluding
No,
to. It's like, is there anything?
basically the red carpet, and I think the appeal is that you get to judge celebrities in real time,
Yeah,
and it's basically like a fashion show where you at home are the judge of, like, who actually understood the assignment. So every year they have a theme. This year's
right.
theme was, I believe, costume art
I think
was
it's
the
something with
Yes,
art,
your
art
fashion
and
is
style.
art.
that was the that was the theme or the dress code.
I think that actually might have been the dress code. I think
Yeah,
you're
so
right. I think the
theme
theme
was
is costume art.
costume art, and then the dress code was fashion is art. So the
Yeah.
fashion, that's for, like, the gala itself, and the celebrities are supposed to dress in that way. So then you as the viewer at home get to judge, did this celebrity do a good job interpreting this theme or not?
Right.
And that was a lot of the content I saw too. It's like me judging the Met Gala looks, meanwhile I look like this, and it would just be like, people
Yeah.
at home in their sweats or like
I saw the Kardashians. I think I thought Chris looked phenomenal. Personally. Um, I didn't love Kim's look as much as I thought Kendall looked stunning. I thought hers was really cool.
Kendall was dressed by Zach Posen's Gap.
Mhm.
So we've been loving that era, like,
Yeah.
keeping it up, and they did an interview together with Lala, so that's another thing that the red carpet interviews, like, it's basically like a plug for whatever, brand that you come with. So they talked about working together, and I predict that they're doing a collab together, like, there's gonna be, like, the Kendall tee, the perfect white T-shirt, like, is coming
Mhm.
soon because he talked about how he took inspiration from a Gap T-shirt for her look, and that was, like, where it came from, so
Oh, I love that. I think
prime
that
position
I you
getting
know what? Sign me up
girl.
for that tea. Like I'm totally bought in.
Yeah.
I thought Sabrina Carpenter looked really cute. Her outfit felt more like a literal interpretation. It was like thought people there were some comments about how it was like VHS tape. Like it was actually like material. And I
It
thought she
was
looked
film from the movie Sabrina.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
mhm, yeah.
Even better. I mean, I thought
And
she looked
she's
really
doing a
cool.
whole movie motif right now, which I find really interesting. Like at her Coachella performance, that was also very heavily it was Sabrina Wood and she had Hollywood celebrities there. So it's
Well, that's
interesting that she's
interesting.
using this as like another stage for her current
Well,
era.
almost to that point is a very smart segue for her too, because I feel like so much of her look and vibe, it almost felt like more like juvenile, immature kind of like some of it
Mhm.
is like early era Victoria's Secret,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
I'm
so
in
it's
these
really
like
cutesy.
cutesy. And so if she wants to like hearken old Hollywood, I can see that
Mhm.
evolution. I think that's very cool. Maybe we should do a little bit of an examination at of the motif of Sabrina Carpenter. I thought
Would be interesting.
I
In
love
music
that.
videos also, she, like, referenced Rocky Horror Picture Show and then Death Becomes Her. I feel like you're right, Megan. She's definitely, like, blatantly taking inspiration from classic movies.
And one funny tidbit, though. So she said when she was interviewed, "This is from Sabrina, one of my favorite films of all time." And then a paparazzi yelled to her on the carpet, "What's your favorite movie?" And she said, Shrek 2. So she can do both high and low.
Do you think she was being sarcastic though?
No, they
It was
love Shrek. Gen Z loves Shrek.
huh.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that is an interesting, item to pull out of this. I was other things I was gonna say, I thought Rihanna looked really cute. She had a
Mhm.
great moment. I don't know if you guys saw the clip where she got interviewed on the red carpet by, Chanel Jones from the Today Show, and it was just, like, really s it was really cool.
Did yeah, yeah,
She was like, "Well, how's your day going?"
yeah.
Like, and it was such a cool moment. Like, I just love Rihanna, and I just loved her even more for that. The Blake Lively moment, that was interesting, like,
That was
that
one where I was texting the group chat like, "OMG,
Mhm.
Blake." And then the news came out that they had settled their lawsuit, so I was like
well, yeah, it was like lawsuit settled and then she showed up, which, was very smart.
she seemed really nervous in her interview, I will say.
Did she?
Yeah. I mean, my thing you guys know what I say, low stakes interpersonal drama. I think that they took it too far with the legal system getting involved, like,
Yeah,
I think we're on record here, like,
yeah.
somewhere being
What's
like,
your prediction on her career now, though?
"I think she'll be fine." This was not a reputational crisis. Like, if you knew and liked and followed Blake, you knew she had a reputation for being a little bit full of herself and a little bit of a mean girl. But, I mean, if I had that hair, I think I would be too. So,
I know.
diva's gonna
She is
diva.
beautiful.
Like,
She looked
you know what I
beautiful.
mean? Like, I'm not gonna be upset with an actress being a diva. Like, it was when you take it to the level of, like, legally someone needs to, like, pay for this, that it's like, that's where it gets iffy, but they were
Yeah.
both doing it to each other. It was a whole ugly situation, and I think that she'll be fine. I think this might hurt her endorsement portfolio. Like,
Mhm.
but I don't think that she had much one to begin with. Betty Buzz wasn't doing that great. Her hair care line, people just didn't like it. Like, yes, there was a lot of, like,
But
vitriol for her at that time, but
yeah.
it just sounds like the hair care just wasn't good. So I don't think that she, Blake Lively, will be able to be an influencer and that she sells you stuff based off of her face anymore. But I don't think that was ever her strong suit. I think she will still make movies that people want to see.
What is your prediction on Justin Baldoni then?
That one's tougher because it was a reputational crisis in that he built this persona of being this, like, feminist good guy,
Mhm.
and then the way that he handled that situation was not that. Like, even if you think that he didn't do anything that bad to Blake, the way that he handled the situation and, like, the way it was handled in the press was really awful and ugly. So I think that he has a little bit more reputation building to do. However, he seemed to want to transition to being behind the scenes anyways, and so I think that depending on how the chatter of, like, what happened behind the scenes within Hollywood, I think is gonna inform his next steps more than anything, but like I said, Blake
Yeah.
has a reputation for being a little bit difficult, so I don't know if, like, people are gonna see him having drama with Blake as, like, a huge knock on his character in terms of, like, having him behind the scenes on things.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like they should just redo the whole movie in, like, 2 years. Like, start
Yeah.
again.
Honestly, they total there well, there's, like, there was sequel potential, and I think they could
Mhm.
just recast it. I think Justin would need to, like, move away from it, but I think they could spin up a narrative where Blake's the director and she's not in it in a few years, and that would
I mean, if
that
for anyone who has read the books
it
too,
ends with us.
yeah, oh, yeah, it ends with I mean, I watched the movie on the airplane. I thought it was fine. I thought, like, Jenny Slate was cute. Like, I thought some of the moments between Blake and Justin actually seemed authentic. Like, they seemed like the acting was, like, decent, but it just didn't feel as I don't know, for whatever reason, the book just flowed and, like, the way that it came to life on screen didn't. I don't know if you guys saw it, but
I did not see it. I don't enjoy movies about that topic, so I, like, specifically
yeah,
avoided it. But I
understandable.
also that one's tough, and Kaylee and I have talked about this so much because one of the big points of contention between Blake and, Justin was that she wanted to market this movie as a, like, huge blockbuster, and he wanted to be an indie. She was successful. Like, her whole grab your girls, grab your florals, like, put this everywhere, do all the activations, like, it worked, and we've since seen movies that don't do that not live up to their full potential. So it's like, as much as, like, I could see where Justin was coming from, and I do think Blake probably did overstep of, like, her role was actress and she was marketing the movie, she had the right instincts as a marketer of, like, this is how you sell a movie. Was it appropriate given the subject matter? That's a whole 'nother question. So it's like, the situation is not so cut and dry, where it's like, he was right, she was wrong, she was right, he was wrong. It's like, you both had points, but the way they handled it and the toxicity that they had with each other and the smear campaigns, I think, is the hard part of all of this.
Totally. No, I mean, you're so right, and I feel like stepping out of it, it's almost as if she was thinking of it as, like, a rom-com, and
Mhm.
it just isn't that.
But it's
Um,
also like it's a bit of a marketing conundrum because it's like, how do you market to? Because even Wuthering Heights ran into the same issue where they didn't know how to market it but as a rom-com. And, like, people were disappointed that it wasn't that, but it also worked. People went to go see
did
that
you guys
movie.
see it? I haven't seen it. I bought the
I
book.
did
I
see it.
didn't see it.
Yeah.
What did you think, Megan?
So I have not read the source material, and so I this was me coming in fresh, and I also, like, I feel like I had good expectations going in based on Emerald Fennell's old work. Like, I wasn't expecting anything like what the marketing supposed. So I don't want to be like everyone else is wrong, but it's fine. Like, it's
It's a good
fine.
movie? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't say good. I would say fine. And if you like Emerald Fennell, if you like Jacob Elordi, if you like Margot Robbie, you'll think it's good. Like, I
Okay.
enjoyed it, and I thought it was I said, "I don't know if it's good time" if I said my review was, "I don't know if it's a good movie, but it was a good time at the theater." So I can't say for watching it how bad.
Okay, I love that. I actually again, I bought the book, so I'm, like, intending to read it, but
Yeah.
I, now I'm more curious about watching the movie thanks to you. So thank you.
Well, another movie that is currently in theaters right now, Devil Wears Prada 2. I haven't seen it. I probably won't go see it in theaters. But I know you guys have, and we have strong opinions on it. So fire away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I so before we talk about the plot of the movie itself, I think just I found it interesting that this came out right before the Met Gala,
Mhm.
and Vogue did so much in partnership with it. Like,
Oh,
the
I thought
first
it was brilliant and
yeah.
strategic that they did that timing. Like, that was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the first movie, for those who for some reason may not know, is about a journalist serious journalist, Andy, who goes to work at a magazine called Runway, which is essentially Vogue, and it's satirizing Anna Wintour as, like, this nightmare boss, like, played by Meryl Streep as Miranda Priestley. And then in the first movie, she's in this role of, like, assistant, a million girls would kill for this job, and she has to, get a makeover, learn how to do the job, learn to take fashion seriously, and then she's better for the experience. Second movie, 20 years later, brings back all the same characters. Andy comes back to Runway after leaving because Runway is in a reputational crisis. Speaking of reputational crisis, and she's like a serious journalist who can help the magazine through this time. So she's like, and they talk a lot about the state of the industry and, like, how magazines don't have money like they used to and how they're beholden to advertisers because they're the ones who are holding the purse strings. And I really liked it, but Neen said she didn't. So I'm more curious of, like, your take.
I love that. Thank you for that synopsis for those who have not been living on planet Earth. Those joining us from other planets. No, okay, so here's my broad take. I think that the movie that they made, um, would have nailed it for me 10 years ago. I
Mm,
think the fact that it is now 20 years, there's a couple things that felt off to me. Some things really worked. Like, I think that obviously they got a bigger budget. Like, the first movie was, like, sort of known for having actually it had, like, a pretty low budget, I think, if you,
yeah.
like, look it up, and, like, they did a lot with, like, scotch tape and glue. I thought elevating Emily Blunt's character was great. She was awesome. I think having her go to Dior, working at, like, a fashion house and sort of having, like, an authority figure like, being an authority figure in the show, and having power over them was, like, spot on, and they gave her a lot of airtime, and she had a lot more, like, funny moments, so I thought she was great. Um, I think that as somebody coming from media, like, 20 years ago when this movie came out, the reason why it hit so hard is because we were all like, I graduated from college in 2006, okay? Like, the movie came out in 2006. Like, we were all entering the workforce. I was starting at NBC, and, like, we were Andy. Like, we all knew a version of Miranda, and, like, it has become a cultural reference, right? Like, "This boss is Devil Wears Prada" to me, right? Like, you
Mhm.
know exactly what that means, and it gave, like, a lexicon to a generation. And so, fast forward 20 years like, again, so for my own trajectory, okay, like, what happened? I went into media, I wanted to be Katie Couric, and then, you know, 10, 12 years into it, I started looking at my own bosses at NBC and CNN, and I realized I didn't wanna be them. And
Yeah.
so that's when I started MT Deco because I wanted to have a family, I wanted to have control over my own life, and I didn't wanna be that. And so to me, when I think back to the original Devil Wears Prada, like, I wanted Miranda to succeed. Like, that's almost a weird feeling that you have because she's so mean, but, like, you also want her to succeed, like, right? Like, you kind of have this feeling, like,
Mhm.
even though she was awful to Andy, you're like, "No," Andy leaves, it wasn't the right fit. So to then see her 20 years later in this role in a diminished office, smaller office, again, Meryl Streep is beautiful. She's just older, okay? She's older than she was, 20 years older. Stanley Tucci in the same lackey sidekick role getting kicked around. And I didn't want that for them. Like,
Hmm.
what I wanted for them was for, like, and I'm making this up, but, like, Miranda to be, like, in the Hamptons living her life and, like, it's just this, like, almost thought leadership authority, like, in the field. And then, like, maybe even more of, like, a comparison to how Anna Wintour's, I think, real role is, which is more of this, like, global sort of, viewpoint at, Condé Nast with, like, all these different magazines underneath her. Like, I felt like there's this scene where she's like, they go in with Andy to go see Emily Blunt's character, and it's just so sad. Like, you're like, "Oh,"
Okay, so I'm gonna push back and be like, I don't think you didn't like the movie. I think you just don't like the current state of media. And the movie is very much like painting a portrait of this is the current state of media, and it's like kind of sad. Like, I think that's part of it.
well, I think okay, fair. I think what would have been more interesting to me is, like, the plot itself. Like, so I was painting all of that to sort of talk about the plot point. In that, I think the Emily Blunt was great. I think Andy's evolution, fine. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, I was like, okay, this just feels like the most basic. Like, if you put into AI, like, what could happen to Andy and like what would be a resolve?
Yeah.
Fine. And then again, I think that, like, going back to, like, fix runway, I just don't know, like, I'm like, I feel like they could have taken this in so many different directions, like, and made it feel more, like, hopeful and interesting while still commenting on the state of the industry.
Yeah.
Uh, so that was my like, I walked away from it being like, "This would have been perfect 10 years ago."
Yeah.
Now that it's 20 years, I feel like what would have that extra 10 years have been? And, like, Stanley Tucci's character, what is he doing? Like, he just keeps getting kicked around, like, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that was part of the point though, of like, they're still here, you know? And like, even like at the end when Miranda's talking to her husband and she's like, "What am I doing? Do I want to keep fighting for this?" And he's like, "Well, if you don't, you'll always have me." And then the next scene is her being like, "I gotta save my magazine." I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And I think I was coming at it like I was glad that you gave the context of like you were fresh out of college when this movie came out because
Mhm.
I was 14 when this movie came out and I was like that's going to be me one day. I didn't want to be a journalist, but I was like I'm going to be having a glamorous job in a big city with like a glamorous boss and then like I feel like I did that. And like my first boss was like my first job, my friends and I used to joke, it's like the Devil Wears Prada except she's not mean to you. And so like it felt like very cool to be like, oh, I did that. It was very nostalgic. And I was very much like, I can't judge this movie because it's just so nostalgic to me that like I'm gonna love it.
I
Um,
mean, yeah.
but originally I've been reflecting on this movie and I feel like this movie, the first one, healed helped me helped kick off peeling my what I call not like other girls itis because I feel like Andy comes into the first movie, I'm like, I'm so above this and this
Mhm.
isn't real journalism and I'm not like other girls and I'm so much better than these other girls. And then the movie was basically Miranda being like, no, you're not. You're just like us and you're just a girl too. And I feel like this to me, this was the movie being like, the future of journalism and media is taking women seriously. And they're the ones who have been holding this up. Look around who's still standing. It's Miranda Priestley at Vogue. And like, like, and so I felt like that was kind of like a punctuation mark of like media now that it's like not like us versus them, the boys versus the girls. It's like we all need to band together and get rid of our not like other girls itis because like actually Vogue and Miranda and this frivolous
Thing is going down.
institution is
Yeah.
actually the only one that's managed to strategically last through all of these things. So that was kind of my take on it and my reading on it. But like I said, I'm just like so nostalgic for it that I was like,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
can't good.
I
or,
will
or
say
like the girl.
no, I mean, I don't think you can like, again, the cinematography is much better. The costumes are incredible. Like, the clothing is amazing. Visually, it's stunning. It's also, again, definitely like, I mean, Anne Hathaway, like, whatever she does in life, I'm like, "Oh my god, like, give me her routine." Like, she looks amazing. The acting was great. Like, I don't I didn't love her love interest. I thought that that was sort of weird.
Mhm.
I think a lot of people agree, like, the love interest guy, like, this
So
developer.
he's very famous in Australia. And basically, my conspiracy is that so they focus grouped this movie a lot. There was a lot of test screenings and they cut a lot of stuff, like full characters are cut. I think they only kept him for marketing purposes. So
Probably.
that is
Yeah,
with the Australians.
the Australians, which is like by the way, we talked about how Australia, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, how
Mhm.
we were like, yeah, Australia has definitely become, like, much more of, like, a cultural, like, like an epicenter of things,
Yeah,
which, by the way, Megan, you should totally both of you guys should go there. I'm,
I
like, the big
refuse. I will never. It's too
Why?
scary.
Uh,
There's too
Yeah.
many things that can kill you. And yeah, no,
Mm.
it's too extreme down there for me. I'll stay here.
Um,
But I believe it's beautiful. Have
that's
amazing
a
photos.
really interesting There's just, like, yeah, it's all the spiders, I think, and the
Yeah.
jellyfish, the box jellyfish.
I'm with you, Megan. I don't think I would ever be able to fully relax,
Yeah, no. I've
whether
also
it's on
I've
land
read
or in sea. I think
the
It
only book
is
I've
so
read
funny
for
that
sure.
you guys feel this way, but
the
you
only
know
book I've read in Australia, set in Australia too, is called Picnic at Hanging Rock, which is just about a group of girls who go on a picnic and some of them don't come back and die.
guys, I don't know how I feel about this, like, disdain for Australia.
No
I'm like,
Not
disdain,
insane. It's
healthy
healthy respect.
fear, respect. Like it's like Everest. I'm not gonna climb it, but I don't disdain it.
I just like John Fleur. Um,
Well,
I say.
moving on.
I do think everyone should see Devil Wears Prada too, though. I think
It's a great
again,
movie.
I'll
Great
watch
gowns,
it.
beautiful gowns.
I'll watch it when it's on streaming. There are too many other movies I want to see in theaters this month, and my
Like
movie
what?
budget will get out of control.
So
And
what
I'm
else is
like,
on your movie
spend
list?
hundreds of dollars going to the movies this month. Okay, so me and my friends and my sister are huge horror fans. And May, there's like a glut of
There
horror
is, yeah.
movies coming out.
What
So next week or this week, we're
quarters
seeing
of the internet are you?
I don't
I
know
don't
what
wanna
it is
go to
about May,
Australia.
but
It's too terrifying. Give me
In
1,000
the back rooms.
if
I'm not going to Australia, I'm going to the back rooms.
we have already scheduled our backrooms date for like literally in 3 weeks because we're so serious about seeing that. But Hokum, we're seeing. I love Adam Scott. I love Parks and Rec, and I want to see him in a scary thing. Um,
Well, this does look scary.
Passengers. Yeah, I got it's supposed to be pretty scary. Passengers, which is like about a road trip gone wrong, which I love that genre for the back rooms, which it started on the internet. So it's always
is
like
backers. I'm gonna Google it while you're
the
talking about
back
it.
rooms is like a creepy pasta that like originated on maybe Discord or Tumblr, but it's all about like liminal space and like creepy liminal spaces. There's like there might be a monster, but it might just be like beige carpeting and yellowing wallpaper, and that's the horror.
You know what that by the way, I did take a class, I was an English major, as I mentioned, not on this call or before it, while I was in Australia, and it was all about, like, horror, like, and, like, terror and the difference between the 2. Do you guys know the
Oh,
difference?
no.
No.
So, like, horror is, like, very visual, like, horrible things happening, like monsters ripping faces off. Like,
Mhm,
Dracula is, like it's like someone biting a neck, and, like, you actually see it happening.
mhm,
Terror is more feminine, and it's
mm.
all, like, mental, and so it's exactly what you're talking about, Emma, where it's like, what's there you don't know? It's like the unknowing, and, like, it's psychological. So you're like you're you create it's like you're building all of the fear yourself. You're not actually witnessing it.
I love that distinction. I was actually talking about my friends about this a week ago. Anna Kendrick's directorial debut on Netflix, Women of the Hour, has one of the scariest scenes. As a horror lover, I've read almost everything Stephen King has ever written. I've seen every scary movie. One of
I
the
have known Emma her whole life, and, like, she does this. I just wanna say, like, I've never heard this. Like, continue. Nothing big about
um
me.
Women of the Hour has one of the most now it'll be classified as terrifying scenes I've ever seen, where it's her by herself in an empty parking lot with a man, and he is approaching her, and it's terrifying. And it's one of the scariest scenes I've ever seen because as women, we can all relate to a moment where like nothing happens, but it's the threat of what could happen and that possibility.
Did you see the video of the girl trapped in the elevator with the boys?
Yes.
So there was a video going viral on TikTok of this woman. They're college kids, so that's why I said girl. And she's in an elevator and it's stuck. And she's with a bunch of like frat boys. And then they're like joking and laughing. And then she turns around and she's like yelling at them, like she's clearly terrified. And they're like making fun of her for being scared. But the comments are all like, no, obviously she's scared. She's not scared of being trapped in the elevator. She's scared of being trapped in the elevator with you. And like I think that speaks to like kind of this on this persistent back of your head fear that women always have of
Mhm.
like, am I safe in this situation with this random man? I don't know.
Oh my god, eh, so I just looked this up as you guys were talking. So, again, the course that I took, it was called Gothic Fiction. So it was all about, Gothic. And so this is the difference. Terror is the dread and anticipation before a scary event characterized by suspense and psychological fear. Horror is the shock, revulsion, and disgust felt after witnessing a frightful event, often involving gore. So terror is sensed, like what might happen,
Mhm.
while horror is seen what did happen.
Interesting.
Love that. That's
I
so
know.
interesting.
You should you know what? Speaking of combining both of your passions, Emma, you should do a series on, like, gothic literature, like, in your book club.
I would love to. I actually just last week visited I can't remember the name. I will include it in the show notes. There's this bookstore in Brooklyn that's just horror. Um,
Oh my god, that's so please include it, like, that's so
I
cool.
will. It's so much fun.
It's called
They
the Twisted Spine.
Yes, Twisted Spine. They have a bar. You get, like, a glass of wine. There's a
Right.
fireplace there, and we just, like, wandered around the store for, like, an hour and a half, and it was amazing. Our next stop is Thrift Bodice, which is a romance-only bookstore.
We
So,
have one of those in LA.
I will
Have
let you guys know how that goes.
Can this be a series?
Yeah,
Remember when
visiting.
we used to do, like, all of your book reviews, Meg?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll keep you posted on my Ripped Bodice adventures.
Emma, you know what you should do?
Hmm.
We should start, like, a Substack for this, and then, like, just do your blurb with, like, photos, and then the next one you visit, just add to it.
I love
And
that.
just to keep adding to, like, the same one and just
It can be
I
a
don't know.
thread. I'll just keep it going.
Yeah, just keep it, like I love that, like, living content, like, you know? Anyways.
Okay, so our next topic, it's kind of connected to it's like the Anna Wintour
Another one of your passions.
another one of my passions, horror, terror, and Bravo. Um, okay, so Vulture, I feel like we, have been talking about for years, offline with each other on this open tabs conversations each week about the growing influence of reality television, and Vulture is doing a series on, like, the stars of reality, and of course, they had to interview Andy Cohen, who basically, like, helped create and form reality TV as we know it. Um,
He's like a
and
kingmaker.
he is the kingmaker, and for those of you who don't know, I recommend reading it. I'll link it in the show notes, because his, like, come up is very interesting. He was a producer at Bravo.
Wait, you guys know I interviewed to be his assistant, right? Okay, thank you. It's like, we've talked about this, right?
Yeah, but, like, he was still, like, kind of on the come up, right? He was, like, on air, like, kind of
No,
the
he
face.
wasn't on air yet.
Ooh.
When I interviewed to be his assistant, he was only blogging on the, like, Bravo
Mhm,
website, and it was like like, watching The Real Housewives of OC, like, the minute that they came on, I was living alone in New York City. It was the first time I'd ever lived alone, and I had the TV on a lot. Like, I lived in this, like, studio apartment in Tudor City, like, Midtown East, and, like, I consumed a lot of Bravo, I think even just getting used to living by yourself
mhm.
after ever always, like, having people around. And so, The Housewives, if you were an early, like, viewer,
I
were like
was too. I watched the first season of The Real Housewives of
yeah, like,
Potomac. Yeah.
it's kind of like I don't know if it's kind of like do you remember where you were when you saw, like, the Britney Spears, like, "Hit Me Baby One More Time," like, launch video, right? Like, I was 13, I think, and I was like, like, same thing with Bravo. Like, I was immediately like, "This is amazing." And so was a page, whatever, and, like, ended it and I thought it was so cool that Andy was so high up, but, like, willing to put himself out there
Mhm.
blogging, and I was like, "That's what I want." Like, I wanna be like somebody like Andy Cohen, and so I, like, worked on building a relationship there for so long, like, his assistant, everything, and I had totally built the perfect case to get hired there, and when it came down to me and this one other guy, and he ended up hiring the guy, and to be fair, he had interned at Bravo the summer before, so he already had, like, worked there kind of, but that was what set off my trajectory to news.
Do
Like,
you
I
remember who the guy was?
no, not off the top of my head. I mean, there was probably a good decade where I did remember.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, proud of you for not remembering. Like, I fully expect you to be like, "I do. His name is this, and this is what he's doing now."
yeah, no, I
That would
don't
be me.
I
Like,
think
"Yes,
that, like,
back up."
look, like, at the time, um, you know, again, like, I was fresh, it was, like, my first job, like, got into the PACE program, then it was, like, find a job, like, get a
Yeah.
job at NBC, And my parents, like, I had a lot of influence from my parents at the time, and, like, they were like, "What is this Bravo stuff? Like, go for
You're an
NBC
early
News. Like, what's
adopter.
wrong with you? Like, go work for the news division, crazy
Yeah,
person." And so that was where, like, I was interviewing for both jobs at the same time, and I ended up getting the job in the NBC, like, marketing department. And then I went to Columbia and, like, journalism and, like, whatever. It's just so weird that it was a total fork in the road, though. Like, I
totally.
completely could have gone into that. And I will say, though, from what I heard, and I don't know what it's like to work at Bravo now, but, like, I had a lot of friends that worked at Bravo, a lot of assistants, like, at all different levels. One guy, he it's, like, so funny, and his name is escaping me right now, but I can, like, picture him perfectly. He's still there. He's, like, an SVP of, like, scheduling. Oh, Dave Brewer. Like, how did he was, like, such a sports guy, like, you're like, "Oh my god, this dude," and he got the job, and it was probably because of that, like, not being, like, "Bravo!" Like, that he ended
Mhm.
up he's just staying power. Like, he's literally been there for, like, 20 years now.
That's
Um
interesting. This is kind of unrelated, but making me think. I was just listening to, and I'll share it in the chat. I was just listening to The Town with Matt Maloney, and he had on Kareem of Subway Takes, and he said that the reason why he was interested in Kareem's career is because he was also behind the scenes and then decided to, like, step into the
Mhm.
spotlight, and so this is seeming to be a theme of, like, Andy, Kareem, Matt Maloney, of, like, these people who are, like, behind the scenes and then have recently decided, like, "No, I'm the person who's gonna, like, be a star."
I'm the talent now.
I'm
Mhm.
the
No,
talent.
he says that a lot, like, "You're the talent." They talk about being the talent so much.
Um,
But
Yeah, he's done a great job with his career.
mm,
Go on, what were you gonna
Let's
say?
say Andy does talk about, like, the pros and cons of being the face,
Mhm.
because he was a producer, like, across all unscripted at Bravo, and when he became the face, it was too much to juggle with Watch What Happens Live every day, so now he's just a producer on The Housewives and, like, Summer House, Married to Medicine, like, the rest of the unscripted content, he has nothing to do with. He does the reunions, and he'll say, like, "If I have an idea, I'll share it, but, like, I'm not in charge." But, talks about, like, being the face of Bravo now. He's like, "I get all the praise and all the criticism, even if I have nothing to do with it, and nobody believes me when I tell them I have nothing to do with it." But it was interesting throughout the Q&A, he hits on some themes that we've been talking about. So one of the things, Megan, when, like, this summer house drama kicked off a month ago, you talked about how, like, the problem that a lot of these reality shows are having is that, like, the drama is now happening on social media and off screen, and the show becomes about, like, the hardships and, like, drama that comes with being a public personality and, like, not being a housewife in Orange County. Um, and Andy addresses that head on.
Oh, yeah, what did he say? I'm so
He
curious.
does not like the social media drama. He called it, like, meta. He said it's not interesting. Nobody wants to see that. He said the summer house drama, he said, is an exception, because people are so invested in those characters. Um, but aside from that, like, he's like, "It's not interesting. It's not what the viewers want. It's not what I want." And he was asked if Bravo is now giving their talent, contracts saying they're not allowed to interact with bloggers or, like, drama channels. He said he doesn't know, but it would be a good idea.
he knows.
Yes.
The narrative integrity clause. Um,
Yes.
yeah, that's the part that stuck out to me too, and that I also wanted to talk about because it honestly made me a bit uncomfortable the way that Andy was talking about these people. Specifically, at one point, they, like, are talking about this, and the journalist does a really good job of pushing back on, like, because Andy's like, "Well, the Real Housewives of Rhode Island aren't like that," and the journalist is like, "Well, for the first season, like, we're still in season 1." And then,
That's so true.
he
You
says
can't judge any of them by
Mhm.
he
season
said,
1.
"If it's a huge success, then suddenly Alicia, who I'm assuming is a Real Housewife of
Yeah.
Rhode Island, is friends with Jennifer Lawrence because Jennifer Lawrence does, like, DM the Housewives." And Andy says, "I want them to say as they are," which, like, these are people, not characters. And, like, it is so unfair to cast someone and then be like, you need to stay as you are for our narrative, pleasure, enjoyment, and we're going to make a whole bunch of money off of you. I think it's really gross and really icky. And I think that it's not sustainable. And where reality content is headed is this metatextual layer is part of it. And that's part of why Love Island is so successful,
Mhm.
because it's baked into the show. And so I think this is a bit of a generational divide thing. And I think that the narrative integrity clause is kind of BS.
I feel like Love Island has really cracked the code with that. In their put in a villa, they do not have access to the outside world. So it really is about what is happening in the villa. And then they go out into the real world and things explode. Social media, people are cheating on each other, allegedly. And then they have after the villa, where pick up the reality TV cameras again and then document the aftermath and like this meta textual drama. So you get both of it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think it's fair to ask people to live their lives in front of a camera, but then also you can't authentically live your life fully unless the cameras are there to sanction it. It's just a very strange in between that I don't think is sustainable.
I agree. And I think I understand where Andy's coming from
Yeah.
Mhm.
in that, and I don't know if he said it I haven't read the article that you guys are referring to, but I listened to his interview with Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy, and he talked a lot about a lot of this stuff. And I don't know if he said it there or somewhere. I just remember seeing somewhere Andy just saying housewives that are influencers are just like not, it's not ideal. It's like not the best content. And I
He
think,
he alludes to that in this.
yeah. And I think it's just, I think it has to be a system where I don't know. I wonder if it's almost worth like setting out to a whole set of housewives and like being like it's a 3-season run or something, and like that's it, and keeping it like a much shorter window of this moment in the limelight, and then afterwards like what happens, whatever. Because I think you're right. Like I think the first 1 to 3 seasons tend to be like
Mhm.
more interesting, like before people know how to do the stuff, before they get the big brand deals. Oh my God, you guys remember Camille Grammer on like her first one? Like, oh my God, like you couldn't get like now no one would do that. You know what I mean? So
Well, that's the thing. It's like at the end of the day, like they're exploiting these women. And like you would hope that they're getting compensated fairly, whether that's through fame or through money, or that there's some sort of evening out of the exchange. At the end of the day, like that's part of the draw is like we're putting these people up on a pedestal so we can tear them down. And that's consistently been the pattern over years. And the people who are good at navigating that are lying to the public. Like Kyle has a whole girlfriend that's like not part of the show and like everyone knows it, you know? So I think if you really want people to authentically show up and put themselves out there, like you can't then be like, but now you're not allowed to also do that on social media, you know? And
totally.
I think that I think Hulu is coming for them in this space. Like they did their whole Get Real summit where they announced the new housewives, and one of their new housewives is Aspen Ovard, who's a YouTuber. And I found it really interesting because she was talking about how she's been YouTubing for like 15 years. And she's like, I'm kind of at a point where it's hard for me to produce my own life. And so I'm excited to hand the reins over. But the second she doesn't like something or some way she's portrayed on that show, she'll take the reins right back.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a very interesting dynamic to watch because I feel like Hulu is doing a good job of catching up to Bravo by tapping people who have existing followings rather than
Mhm.
making their own celebrities from scratch like Bravo does.
I think that's really, I agree. Although I saw like the Jake and Logan Paul show, and I think we've talked about that a little bit, and that got canceled. And I almost think that had they not been the producers of it and it was actually like someone else was producing it for them, it might have actually been more entertaining and like more interesting. It felt like it was so overly produced by Logan, and like it was like overarching about his like wife getting pregnant, and we're like, show us Jake and wait, am I getting them confused? Which one's like married to the model and which one's married
Logan.
to
Logan's married to the model.
Okay, yeah, it was too much Logan and the model versus, like, Jake and his, like, Olympic I speed skating, fiancé are, like, unbelievable. Like, they're like, give them the show. Like, what you know,
And even that, I'm like, I know a lot about their dynamic, and I feel like the only reason he was even being interesting is because it's his brother's show, and he was trying to show up his brother. Like,
yeah, no, that's true.
you know?
That's true.
Like,
He was trying to yeah, they have, like yeah, they have an interesting
yeah.
I mean, I also think that look, I also watched some of like, Netflix's attempt at, like, a housewives show. It was the Palm Beach
Mhm.
one, which was very interesting.
Netflix is also getting a bunch of influencers. So they've got Alex Earl and her show's coming. They also recently signed a deal with Salish. Do you guys know about Salish and Jordan
Mm-mm.
Matter?
No.
No.
So Salish and Jordan and Salish are father-daughter duo who are huge on YouTube.
Okay.
Like they recently did an episode with Colin and Samir, and on that, Jordan said he talked about how they are so huge, but the average person doesn't know who they are. But now they've got a Netflix series. So I bet it's just a matter of time before everybody knows who they are. And she's like a 13-year-old girl who like is cute, and they do challenge videos and like prank content with each other. And the 7-year-old I know loves Salish and is like, she's so cool. So it's interesting in that Netflix seems to be very carefully selecting influencers from different pockets who like maybe you haven't heard of, but who do have a huge following. And then they're going to
So
bring them
smart.
over.
So smart. I mean, I don't think the Palm Beach one, I was, like, really excited about, and I just don't think that they have, like, the producing of it and, like, the cast that they chose wasn't, like there is something to the Bravo, like, magic of
Mhm.
it, like, they do have I don't know if it's Andy's influence or, like, whatever it is, like, they do have, like, a special sauce that they seem to have, and, like, that show, like, it's pretty obvious, like, when you watch it, you're like, "This is too random," like, although they were, like, it was I thought what was interesting too is that they seem to lean more into, like, conservative women, which I think, like, Bravo does not, and, like, conservative women who have been on Bravo have been sort of, like, blacklisted a bit, um, I don't think I watched, like, a handful of episodes, and I never got sucked in the way that, like, I will on, like, other housewives, like, again, even Housewives of Rhode Island, I've seen, like, 1 episode, and I was, like, zonked out the whole time, I was like, "Oh my god, like, what?" Um, if I were them, I feel like the era that was so exciting as a Bravo fan was when they were, like, launching a lot, and you're like, "What?" Like, even imagining, like, what city would they do, you know? And, like, I actually think if they could figure out how to do it even, like, more not, like, low budget, but, like, do more of them in many different places to try to see different dynamics of, like, friend groups and stuff and, like, just see how it does and, like, on a lower stakes scale, kind of see if you can screen it and see because I think so much of it is the dynamic, and it's not always, like, these things that you would check boxes on, like, sometimes it's just, like, one personality and, like, a certain mix and, like, I don't know, like, I think that there's so much out there that they're not because they have such a formula that
Mhm.
works and they're stuck in it.
Yeah,
If they could free it up and, like, experiment more, like, again, you guys, like, I talk about all this stuff with you guys off camera, like, I just think it's, like, interesting to open up the aperture
totally.
of, like, dynamics of women all over.
Mhm. Yeah, it's interesting. He talks a little bit about, like I think their casting is, like, what they have on, like, the Hulus and the Netflix. I think they just have it down to a science now, and he talks about how they're careful to always do ensembles. So when a huge personality like Nene Leakes or like Paige DeSorbo leaves, there's room for like fresh blood and the show can move on without them. He does talk about like keeping the stars happy and like what that looks like. And it's interesting for Bravo that is like letting them go on Dancing with the Stars. Like it's a different network, but like we need to keep the stars happy. So like we'll let them go on Dancing with the Stars. Or like letting them do Traders, which is also on Peacock, but like letting them branch out carefully. Um but
That language just like makes me uncomfortable.
I
Where it's
know.
like, what do you mean you're gonna let me do that? Like
I
I'm
know.
a
It's like
person. Like
it's interesting to like see, we're cool with like, he specifically says Dancing with the Stars. He said women will come on like during the casting process and be like, I want to get in Dancing with the Stars. Like, can you guys help me do that? Um, so I think that's like a big one. But like
And Sierra's.
the line is drawn at like bloggers, but like sure you can go on Dancing with the Stars. Just don't DM any drama accounts.
Did he talk at all about the new, like I think it's on E, like the OG New York
He
Housewives?
did v- briefly, very briefly. He mentioned that it was originally supposed to be on Bravo, and then something happened. E picked it up, and he was kind of like, "I'm happy for them. Anyone can, like anyone can do what they want to do. I'm happy for them." But there was, I
I
feel like,
saw
a little shade.
I watched many years of New York Housewives. I still think when it first started with the Bethany, Jill crew, even through Kelly Ben Simone, like I thought those were the best years of that franchise. And I saw the promo for this new one and I was like, I don't want to watch this.
I know. Well, I think Andy, because he's a New Yorker, cared deeply about like Real Housewives of New York and like
Yeah.
making sure it like represented at least his like view of like New York society, like with the women he picked, because he is a producer of the Housewives. Like he is
Yeah.
still producing the Housewives. And I think that's why like he, I think, gave it like a little extra care that he didn't always give to the other franchises, and that's why it was, like, so epic. I also think, like, these women were, like, hardcore New Yorkers who, like, had no problem with confrontation and sharing their
Yeah.
opinions.
I just yeah, I don't know. I just even with like the newer group, like I liked Erin Leachy. I thought she was good. Um, I just feel like it still just didn't hit. Like it just didn't embody New York as like I mean New York is just there's just so many people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it covered, like, Andy Cohen and, like, his class, like, their view of New York. A lot of, like, how people, like, if you actually live in New York, you look at, like, Sex and the City and you're like, "I don't know what New York this is," where it's, like, only
Yeah.
white people and, like, everyone's running around in Manolos. Like,
Yeah.
that's not actual New York City. But, yeah, it's interesting, and it'll be interesting, like, he specifically, like Megan, you said, like, talks about Real Housewives of Rhode Island and, like, how that's, I think, like, the shining star for him right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that franchise evolves. But yeah, it was really fun to see, like, things we had been speculating about on open tabs, like, actually confirmed in his interview.
Right.
Um, yeah, so pat on the back for that. Okay, guys. So our final topic for today, we're going to talk about it live. But if you're listening back when this is posted on Friday, this is exclusively behind our paywall. So if you want to hear what we have to say, upgrade. Okay, so Mother's Day is coming up, and we are releasing a ones to watch about first time mothers this week. And why this came about was because in, like, the past, I would say maybe, like, 9 to 6 months, um, a lot of female content creators have come out and saying when they announced that they were pregnant for the first time, they lose thousands and thousands of followers, and people are actively commenting like, "I'm not interested in pregnancy content. I'm opting out." Um, and super interesting. Marie Claire just released an article about it this week with another influencer who lost, I think she said 6,000 followers in 24 hours after announcing her pregnancy. And I think it's like multiple things coming together.